we're back here, NAB, live from the Blackmagic booth, and we're going to talk about the URSA.
URSA, yeah, we mentioned we've been selling these cameras out there. They're a little smaller size cameras that we were selling to guys that we were approaching for DSLR type work. And what we realized really quickly was people were adding tens of thousands of dollars worth of hardware onto there to create these kind of full-size ENG style cameras. So we realized we had an opportunity there to create our own full-size camera. So, the first thing everyone sees is this giant 10-inch display, full 1080 display. And what we were thinking about in designing this camera was, how do I create this so that a single person is using this camera or multiple people are using the camera? So maybe in a single person use, I'm standing here, I'm driving this touchscreen control over here, or perhaps I've got it closed and I'm using an EVF on the other side, has this SDI output, and I could have it using it as a shoulder mount. But also the idea of, you can see over here, we've got this whole touchscreen over here, so I can actually have stations around where I can have a director and an assistant and an audio guy, and the workflow around the camera that we have. So really thinking deeply about how people will use this camera. One of the great features we like about this camera is the fact, you'll see that we've listed two different models here for the lens mount, an EF and a PL. But those lens mounts actually come out and they pull the whole sensor package out. So we've already announced we also want to do a B4 version of this camera, and that may be a different sensor package. So it'd be an upgradable sensor lens mount system that we can build around this camera, which is pretty exciting. Yeah. The new things in this camera, it does use the same sensor currently that we see in our current Blackmagic production camera. So it's the same 35 millimeter, it's the same global shutter, same 12 stops of dynamic range, but the one thing we were able to add was 60p on here because we're able to deal with the heat. It's a bigger body. We actually have a whole water cooling system in here and a silent fan that's just moving the air right out the top of the camera. It's a fantastic camera, and we think that people are going to be really excited about using it. And it's really interesting because a lot of Blackmagic products are really attainable, but this is kind of one of those products that we've created where people look at it and they're like, wow, that's such an aspirational purchase, but it's only $6,000 to get into. So it's not inexpensive, but it's actually quite attainable.
Now, who do you see the user of this particular camera being?
I think the big thing when we looked at those older cinema cameras, the people that were rigging them up to be bigger were trying to do larger productions. So they were doing documentary work, or they were doing, independent film production, or they were going out with a crew to do things. Right. And that's a little bit different than the guy that wants to have a DSLR with the lens and a small kit who pops up and does kind of corporate-based work. Right. So I think that that's going to be what we see here, where we're talking about, multiple people going out as a crew to do a film production or a documentary, and they have a little bit more kit and personnel. So that's kind of what we think this will be used for. But again, at $6,000, I'm not going to be surprised if it's used for live production or gets put in all kinds of different environments. So that's always exciting for us to see how our products end up getting used.
The good thing about it is it has that versatility that you can use it in multiple environments. It might require more than one person, it sounds like.
Well, I think one person can do it when you shoulder mount it and you're just going out and doing a little more, just I want to get things, it can do it. And if you're putting it on a tripod, you can operate it. But I think the benefit is it doesn't have to be that way. Yes. That you have the flexibility of saying, hey, let's go out and the two of us can do a little bit more with the camera. And like you said, the flexibility of it, and at this price point, I think there's a lot of users that are going to be pretty interested in getting their hands on it.
Low price point, but it still has that high quality Blackmagic feel.
Yep, I think we're really excited, and hopefully it'll be another great NAB for all of us.
Well, I appreciate it, Dan. Thanks a lot for taking the time out.
No problem, man.
Beterrific.